Hey, and welcome to our first review of the AI Aggregator Shootout. If you're not familiar with AI aggregator models, AI aggregators are tools that let us use multiple AI models for one monthly subscription. You may be familiar. You can go out and you can subscribe to ChatGPT, to Claude, to Perplexity, to Midjourney, to Flux, to all kinds of different tools, but each of them have a monthly subscription. What about if you could actually get all of those tools, or a lot of them, depending on the model you choose, through an aggregator for as little as maybe $15 to $20 a month? If you're not a power user, meaning you're not running hundreds of prompts a day, these aggregator models make a lot of sense. And in the shootout, we're going to review 11 different aggregator models. Today, we're going to begin with Magai. Now, these are not done in any particular order, but I'm going to try to follow a similar setup and a process for each one, and we'll be putting together a score sheet so that you'll be able to see which of these models provide you with the best possible resources for your dollars and for your usage types. With that, let's dive into Magai and take a look. So first, what does Magai promise?
Magai is one of the first systems that I was introduced to as aggregator models, and I want to walk through and show you how it works. So very simple, as I mentioned, all in one platform. You can see here multiple models that they've got support for. We'll scroll down their page and take a look. You can see we've got multiple ChatGPT models, multiple Claude models, multiple Gemini models, Mistral, Llama. We've even got, let's see here, what else have we got in here? We've got some additional models there we'll take a look at in just a minute. Some neat features about Magai that are really cool is you can create chat folders, and that means the more you use it, it just helps you stay organized, and that's a great feature of it. You can also paste links in, and so while you know that ChatGPT can go ahead and read a website, a lot of times it's blocked and it doesn't have that capability. Magai gives you the ability to use that and actually go out and pull the contents of a website address into ChatGPT and other tools. How about a prompt library? I know I've asked repeatedly, what do you do to store your prompts? Well, Magai gives you the ability to actually store your prompts right within its system. So it's really easy to go back and use prompts that you're using on a regular basis. And one of the really cool things is because you have access to multiple models and it runs in a separate platform. So we're accessing ChatGPT, we're accessing Claude, we're accessing Llama and Mistral. It's being done within Magai. So if ChatGPT happens to go down, you just switch models and you go to a different one. That's very similar with all of the aggregator models, but it's really valuable across the board. So you can see we've got leading models, again, from Gemini, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, and Mistral, and lots of opportunities. Now, a couple of other unique things that are available in Magai. One is their AI personas. So you've probably heard of custom GPTs or Claude projects. Personas are very similar, where you can create essentially custom trained personalities or GPTs that you can use on a repeated basis. You can upload training data, custom instructions, and all that. Obviously, it supports a lot of the key things like uploading files. We talked earlier about the ability to read a web page. Just paste a link in the Magai, and it will actually pull that content right into the prompt. You can do the same with YouTube transcripts, so that's really cool. We talked about the ability to save prompts, the ability to search and filter your past prompts and conversations, the ability to organize in folders, and one we didn't talk about but is really cool, the ability to create workspaces. And with those accounts, you can then have different workspaces for different departments, different clients, or different team members along the way. So some really cool stuff. In addition, they do have image generation that we can use. So you can see we've got different opportunities. They've got access to DALL-E, Leonardo, Stability, Flux, and Ideogram right from within Magai. And that's really cool. Each of these platforms have their strengths and weaknesses, and the ability to access these all together is great. So wonderful, simple, easy to use. Again, let's take a quick look at some of the pricing. So Magai starts at $19 a month, and with that, they compare to ChatGPT Plus, but you get obviously additional models, you get the saved prompts, image to image, image to video, and lots of additional things that they try to explain how you can save a lot of money, and you can. You're going to save a lot of money. Now, there is a limit with any of these AI aggregator models, and that there's always a limit on usage, but you can always upgrade as well. Let's just take a look at the different plans that they've got available to you. So you got a personal plan that starts again at $19 a month. You get access to all of the basic things you need. And then if you need more usage, you can upgrade for just $10 a month. You can double those usage limits, or for $79 a month, you can get 5x those usage limits. And they do offer 100% no risk 30-day money guarantee, or money back guarantee. So some really good features here. We're going to go ahead next and we're going to take a look at how it works. So now it's time to take a look at the interface. Let's go ahead and log into our account. Super easy to do. I've already set up my account, so I'm set and ready to go, and I'm going to log right in as I go. You can see a very nice, easy to use interface. Let me move my picture over here and get it out of the way a little bit. I can make it a little smaller. You don't need to see a big picture of me. And you can see a very easy to use layout. On the left hand side, you've got your menus, your dashboards, your chats. You can look at images, prompts, personas. Again, a reminder, inside of Magai, personas are like custom GPTs or Claude projects, workspaces, team, and even your usage and what you've been using this for. So really, really cool features that you've got the ability to do that. You also have the ability to share this with members on your team. So you can create one account and you can have multiple people on your team that join in. Just a quick look here a minute. You can see I've got multiple team members and everything else that are in place, and that makes it really easy for me to go ahead and share that with different team members across the board. Let's go back to our main feature, new chat, real quick, simple, or a new image. So let's go ahead and start with a new chat. So we're going to click on new chat. There we go. And there it goes. Pops right up. And you can see up here in the top, it's really easy. I can choose the model that I want. So we've got multiple different models that are available to me. And I can choose where I want. One of the things I really like about Magai is it makes it very easy to determine the cost of the various models. As I mentioned, all of these aggregator tools are usage-based. So before you run away, so is ChatGPT, and so is Claude, and so is Perplexity. They limit how many uses you've got, and you're going to run into the same issues here. But one of the neat things about this is that you get to see how much usage you get in different models. So if I go into Claude 3.5 Sonnet, you can see I'm going to use 1x, a 1x multiplier. But if I could use Claude 3 Haiku version instead, it would only use 1/10 as much of my overall usage. On the other hand, if I wanted to use Claude 3 Opus, it'd use 3 times as much of my usage. So if we put this in dollars and cents and it's not the same, let's say that Claude 3.5 Sonnet cost a dime, Claude Haiku would cost a penny, and Claude Opus would cost 30 cents per query. Now, those numbers are not accurate, so don't use those dollars, but it's really cool to go down and be able to see that. I can do the same thing with Gemini models from Google, ChatGPT models, Llama models from Meta, and Mistral across the board so I can see. Notice if I'm using Meta's 3.18B model, that it's actually 1/100th. So in other words, I could get 100 prompts there for the same cost that I might be able to get one Claude 3.5 Sonnet prompt. Now again, different uses, different needs, but you get to play around with this as much as you want, and that's what's so cool about it. So we're going to go ahead and start this in Claude 3.5 Sonnet. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and paste in a standard prompt that I'm going to be using throughout the shootout. So it's, you're an expert copywriter specializing in creating detailed SOPs for teams to use. I want you to create an SOP to show my team how to post a blog to a WordPress website. Please make sure to include step-by-step instructions, and please ask me any questions you need in order to provide the best possible response. So I put it in here, and we're going to wait just a second. Notice it shows me it's using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Perfect. And it's going to come back with some questions that I need to answer. And we're going to go ahead and answer each of those questions real quick. And I'll go ahead and pause this while I put those in place. All right, so Claude came back and asked me some really good questions. I want to know what editor I'm using in WordPress. I won't go into a lot of detail here, but these are good, relevant things for this SOP. Do I have any specific plugins that I want? Any specific categories? So I filled out the answers to all of these. And notice I did it with just a number sign, a dash, and then whatever the answer was. And if you get to the end of the line, by the way, if you press Shift and Enter, you can go put a new line in here. So I'll show you an example here. I can do Shift Enter, and notice I can put new lines in. If I just press Enter, it's going to take off to the races for me and do it automatically. So you want to do Shift Enter at the end of the line. Anyway, I filled out all 10, and now we're ready to go. It's important to ask that, by the way, apart from any of the models, to ask it to ask you clarifying questions, because you're going to get a better response every time you do that. So here we go. It's going ahead and it's giving us our procedure. We're going to let it go ahead and continue doing this as it creates the SOP. And again, we'll be using this exact same prompt as we go through all the aggregator models. And you can see there we've got a very nicely done, easy to do section 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2, on and on. And every step that you essentially need to take in order to make that work. What's great about this though is, let's say I've done that and that's great. Now I want to go ahead and I want to do the same thing in a different model. All I need to do is go up and change the model. It helps if I click the right button here. And let's go, in this case, let's go to GPT-4o. Notice just that easy, I've changed my model. And I'm going to say, redo again. And it's going to remember what I gave it because I'm staying within that chat. But now I'm going to get the exact same thing put together in ChatGPT 4o instead of Claude. And I could do this on as many options as I wanted. So super easy. You can see super easy to use. Each model has its strengths and weaknesses, and I'm not here to define which models are best for whatever you're doing, but you can see it's so easy to change up here. We also talked a little bit about personas. I've set up one persona here. You can see I can select that by just clicking on the drop down here. And it also then gives me additional ones that I can use, like an academic researcher, an assistant, a scholar, a brand voice generator, a business advisor. And you can see there's a lot of pre-dones that are in here as well that I can use. So I did a custom one, or I can do different ones as I want. So super easy. That's chats. Let's go ahead and take a look at images. If I want to create images, how do we go ahead and create new images? You can see I've created a couple samples. Let's go up to create a new image here. Again, very easy interface, nice and clean, easy to use. And let's take a look here. So we've got different models that we talked about. DALL-E, Flux 1, Flux Chanel, Ideogram, Leonardo, Stable Diffusion. Let's go ahead. Lots of people are talking about Flux. So let's go ahead and take a look at Flux. And let's go ahead and, you know me, I'm a big fan of 3D graphic images. So let's do 3D cartoon animation of a, let's do something fun. So we'll do of a squirrel dressed as a, let's see, I was recently talking to a sheriff department about some branding for them, as a sheriff. If I can spell that right, there we go. Let's even make it a county sheriff. Inspired by Disney. And let's go ahead. Now notice we can add a seed. By the way, that means if you've got another image you want it to be based off, you can, and give it that file number. We can actually upload an image, and then we get to choose the size we want. I like this, so I'm going to go ahead and choose a portrait 3x4. And generate. Now I could put in a much more elaborate prompt if I wanted to, and again I could choose different models. Keep in mind that as we look at these aggregators, the quality that we get out isn't based necessarily upon the aggregator, but it's based upon the model that we're choosing. One of the things I love about Magai here is it gives us access to multiple image tools, so we can pick the ones that are best suited for what we're doing. All right, we're going to let it finish thinking here just a moment. All right, and I literally only had to pause that for just a second, and I've got my image out just like that. So super easy. The neat thing though is, again, I can go up here and I can choose another model. Let's say I wanted to try Ideogram instead. I can keep that same one and click generate, and now it's going to use the Ideogram model instead of the Flux model, and I'm going to get an image out this way as well. So it's a really simple way to get access to different models for creating images. All right, and there we've got the ideogram model. It saves our past ones, so we can go and look at those at any time. Over here on the side, we've got other menu options that we can choose on. Saved prompts, so again, if we have saved ones that we want to use, we can do the generation, we can upload other images, we can look at our libraries. Let me click on their library. There's the images that we just created. We can remove the background. So let's say I like this one, but I want to remove the background. I can go ahead and actually let's click this one here and try it here and remove background. Now this is something that you can do in other applications like Canva and that as well, but it's really cool to be able to do it right here inside the application itself. And just like that, I've removed the background. Now I could put him on a different background or however I want. I can upscale. I can go ahead and add motion and create a video out of that. Let's go back and undo. Let's go back to our library here a minute. Here we go, library. going to grab this image. Let's go and try motion. So we have the ability to go ahead and add this in. It requires specific dimensions. So we need to crop this tool to make it fit. So we're going to try to grab a square version. Let's go back and we can do a square image. I can see 768 by 768. So let's go and generate a new one. And we're going to size square. We'll leave all that the same. And let's try something different. Let's go to Leonardo this time, just so we can do that and generate. So now we're going to generate. We've shown you in Flux. We've shown you a ideogram. Here's Leonardo. And then we'll try motion for that. We'll actually take this image and make a video or a motion video out of that. All right, and here's that same prompt, this time done in Leonardo. And now let's go ahead and go over to our motion. There we go. And we're going to generate. We have a slider here we can choose. Let's go in the middle at 5. I assume that's going to be how long it's going to be, but let's find out here real quick. Just, as these are generating, I am going to pause the video so that we don't sit here with dead air, shall we say, as we're waiting. But as you can see, here we go. So it's taken that image and it's turned it into a small clip. Pretty impressive. And I love the ability that you have to do this right from within Magai. So lots and lots of functionality. I can go back here where I want to go. We talked about chats and images. We've got the prompts feature here where I can actually go ahead and I can create a prompt library and share those. I can create folders and anything I want, both text and image prompts. I then can set up custom personas, as I mentioned. So super simple. I've set up one called my AI News Journalist, and it's as simple as creating a new persona. Notice there's custom instructions, a description, and tags, so it's really easy to be able to use. I then can define different workspaces, and you can see on my demo account here, we have different workspaces that we've put in place for different team members. I've got my team, and then I've got my usage here that I can always see where my usage is at based upon where I'm set and the plan that I have. In this case, I actually am using a plan that I bought about a month ago. We're looking at our monthly usage here, and we've used about 8% of it, of the 80,000 words this month. So as I mentioned, one of the things that you want to keep in mind with any of the aggregator models is there are limits that are in place. And as you saw in the models that you choose, different models take different amounts of credits that you have available. So just keep that in mind. The good news is that it's very inexpensive to use overall, and you do get access to multiple models. One of the other great features here on Magai is the ability to have a reward capability so that you can actually go ahead and complete different tasks to earn up to $5 off your next bill. So, for example, you can refer to friends and things like that. And if you do that and put those links out and people sign up, you can save money off yours as well. So some really great features, really simple to use overall. And I like the interface. I like how easy it is to use. And I like the ability to have access to everything else. So overall, we're going to put our score sheet together next and show you how the scores come in. All right, and the part you've all been waiting for, here's our scoring. You'll notice this is going to be consistent across every aggregator model that we look at as far as what we're scoring on, and I'll try to explain my scoring methodology as we go down. So if it does everything that I expect it to do, but not anything special, but meets my expectations, I'm going to be right in that 8 range for most things. Some things that work better, I'm going to be higher, and obviously if it's lower, I'll make it lower as well. My goal is that you'd have to be pretty bad not to get at least a 50 on these, or you have to be missing a feature or something like that. So let's kind of walk you through, and we'll show you how this works. So account setup. Getting my account set up was super easy with Magai. Everything flowed. There were no surprises. The verification, the configuration, everything was super, super simple. So I gave it a 10 there. I can't think of anything I'd improve in the process. User interface. I talked about how I like the user interface. It's easy to use. You'll notice we also have some mobile clips here that we're going to show. Works very well on mobile. They do not have an app, but you don't need an app when it works so well on mobile. So I'm not going to downgrade it for not having a mobile app. I actually prefer the fact I don't need a mobile app. I can just use this in any browser on my phone, and it works out super well. So again, I can't think of any improvements that I would make there. Very easy to use, and that's good. Variety of models, had everything I expected, but I'm sure there are more that we could have in there. So I gave it an 8 overall. Nothing wrong with that, but could potentially have additional models over time. One of the things that I noticed that they did a nice job on was frequency of updates and additions. While I've had Magai, there have been some new releases that have come out both with ChatGPT and with Claude, and they had those literally within days, if not the day of the announcement. So I thought they did a really good job there. Cost efficiency, this is a bit of a variable depending on where you're at, but again, I think overall they did a good job. There's always potential room for improvement. They did great. Response times for the models, I think they're the same as what I'm getting with the model, so I can't really see any room for improvement there. In fact, based on that, I should really give them a 10 because I think they do that super well. The consistency is great. I didn't see any lags or slowness compared to other models, so I think it did a really good job there. Now, there are no API capabilities that I'm aware of. In other words, there's no ability to enter an API key in Magai and use that. That's a fairly advanced feature, so it's not a problem that it doesn't have that, but I gave it a 0 because it does not have that. It doesn't have any third-party app integrations per se, nor any workflow automation options. Again, I wouldn't expect these in the aggregator models. I'm going to guess most of the tools are going to get 0s here, but it is one of the criteria we're going to look at because there's one tool in particular that works on that, and I want to make sure we're being fair to them. Next, we've got training and customization. We have that ability to create personas like we talked about, so that custom model training is there, and that's great. I think it would be even more helpful if I could upload data files, training data. I can just do custom prompts right now, so I'm going to give it an 8 there overall. Actually, I'm going to give it a 7 because I'd really like that ability to do that. But they have it, and it works really well. Output quality, again, everything I'd expect. The accuracy seems to be on track, so no issues there. Data security, I'm not a data security expert, but everything seems to be in place and working as expected, so I'm going to give them an 8 there. For customer support, they do a pretty good job. They have a dedicated Facebook group you can go to get support. I also had the opportunity to get them on chat, and their response times were all very acceptable. Nothing that blew me out of the water, but good response times and good feedback. So again, an 8 over there. They had good documentation. As we go through these, some of these models are a little bit harder to get into and use. Magai was not one of those. I thought they did a really good job. It was easy. Again, part of that was their intuitive interface, so it was simple to get started and work through. And again, nothing huge that I would change there. Did have some tutorials and some videos that they walked me through as I got started, so it made it very easy to go ahead and get started. And as I mentioned, they do have a Facebook group for users that you can get into as well. For scalability, they offer a number of different pricing plans, so you can scale quite well. So I gave them a 9 here. I think there's always room for improvement probably, but they did a good job. So their total score is 96. And if I scroll up here, out of the total points that they could have received, they got an 80%. Now, in school, you may say 80%, that's not very good. As we're rating here, I think you're going to see 80% is a very good piece of software. So any reason that I have to object to Magai? No, none at all. I think, again, overall, this did a great job. Everything worked well. Again, super, super efficient. You can just see back there, I had actually done, this was my mobile query. It syncs right up with my mobile query. You'll be able to see that right here. So I just asked it to tell me something about Abraham Lincoln. You'll see that in some of the screenshots. That's all here. That makes life easy. I love how when you use it on mobile or desktop, it's there. I also needed to create for this aggregator scoring sheet. I'd had a whole list, but I needed to put it in a table, and you can actually see I went ahead and did that right here. I just used the 4.0 mini model, so I'm only using 1/10 as many tokens, and I copy and pasted it in, and you can see it pasted that right in, and I had everything that I need to go ahead there, and even gave me code, so I could create that CSV file, or in this case, this Google Sheet, super, super easily. So that's our ratings. I hope that makes sense. Stay tuned. We're going to review 11 total models. This is number 1. We have 10 more to go. See you on the other side.